Gone are the days of just checking uniforms and timetables. The principal of the future checks purpose, passion, and real world impact. So, buckle up as we explore what leadership looks like in schools of tomorrow, as Big Table 5 explores the principal of the future. Please join me in welcoming our speakers onto the dais. Our host, Ms. Sangeeta Kain, Principal, Welham Boys School, Dehradun. Ms. Sunita Nambiar, CEO, Manav Rachna Group of Schools. Ms. Pratima Gupta, Assistant Director, Sunbeam Group of Educational Institutions, Varanasi. Ms. Anisha Asani, Primary School Principal, Prometheus School, Noida. Mr. Rashid Sharfuddin, Headmaster, the Kasiga School, Dehradun. Mr. Naman Kandol, Director, Mayur School, Jaipur.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back from the tea. Some of you are carrying your cup of tea and coffee, which is very good. Thank you so much for coming to listen to us. So from the school manager to purpose architect, I will quickly introduce the panel. We have Ms. Anisha Sani, Ms. Pratima Gupta, Sunita Nambiar, Rashid, and Naman. I'm not going to read about them. You can Google. You'll find enough and more written about them. Thank you so much. So before the red scarf comes our way, let's start. What do we mean by school manager to purpose architect? These are my 4 minutes. 20 years ago, and that's what I think, we genuinely were purpose architects. 20 years ago, we were doing more for the mental well-being, more for resilience, more for the moral and ethical growth of students than what we are doing today. And unfortunately, what we did in the past is what we are looking to do in the future. Having said that, I'm a systems person. I believe in systems and structures. I don't think I will be able to do most of what I do if I didn't have my routine, my structure, my systems in place. So please do not debunk the systems and the structures. They are extremely important. They give you the time, the luxury of time to be able to think. So if your structures and systems are in place, that is when you get the time to be able to think and become an architect of purpose, a leader who thinks about the future and what the students need. For the last 2.5 days, we've been listening to a lot of very, very enlightened minds. AI to mental health, to collaborative learning, to communication skills, all of that. I'm going to talk about 3 verticals that, for me, can achieve mental well-being, because that is extremely important. I'll give you an example. I come from an all-boarding school. I'm a product of a boarding school. I was in grade 5 and I was terribly homesick. My mother went to my house mistress and said, well, she's very homesick. She does, because I lied to her that I don't have friends and मैं क्या करूँ यहाँ and मुझे वापस ले चलो. So my mother went and talked to my house mistress and said she doesn't have friends. I was in grade 5, age 10. My mom went back and my house mistress called me, 10 years of age, and she looked at me and she says, if you don't have friends, it is not the job of other people to make friends with you. It is your job to go make friends. How many of you, how many of us have the guts today to tell that to a 10-year-old? So 1, let's work on mental health. How? What I propose is, again, this is my proposal, make a wall in your school, I am vulnerable. The vulnerability wall. I am Sangeeta Kain. I'm your principal. I hate having difficult conversations and I'm tired. My school captain. Hi, I'm Shreyas Shah. I'm your school captain. I don't know how to manage my time. Make a vulnerability wall. make the conversations around your vulnerabilities a common thing in your school so that you don't have to hide them. While we celebrate the achievements of students, let's open up with our weaknesses and our vulnerabilities. I think it will work wonders towards mental health because we will start conversations around things that really matter and that we are struggling with. 2, create leaders. Oops, time up. Thank you. May I now invite Mr. Rashid Sharfuddin, please.
Good afternoon, colleagues and co-panelists. Thank you, Mrs. Kane. Very quickly, I think I always have been dwarfed by the idea that as a school head, you are supposed to take care of the entire community and then of yourself. And that's one of the underrated thing, at least in my mind. And what I feel is that somehow, and sometimes we feel that school leaders know all, they can do all, which actually is not the truth, in a sense that it's far away from the truth. I've been head for almost 12 years now. I've been part of a boarding school for 25 years now. That's all I have done. But still, when I have to talk about vision and mission and what the future of school headship or education looks like, I think that I'm still not really prepared for that. And I think there's no shame in accepting that. For me, if I have to look at what the future role of heads or principals would be in the future, I would think the first would be to integrate what the larger vision of the community is with those who are part of the, those are part of the stake of the school. I think this is something that we have not been able to do it. There's always pressure of board, the government, the compliances, the students, the colleagues, and so on and so forth. So as we move forward, I think the vision that one should create for the school should be very inclusive. We are going to celebrate diversity. That's one thing. There will be lots of boys and girls who will be coming in as the first generation learner as we proceed. And I think the idea to integrate them into a formal setting and also in what we do would be a big challenge that the school leaders would look at in the coming years. The second part I want to talk about is about enhancing and actually embracing digital technology. That's going to be one big challenge. Of course, lots of opportunities. I won't talk about the challenges that AI and other pose. We all know that. But I think the idea to use technology with learning, with administrative work, with simplifying our interface with larger audience, that would be a challenge, and that would be something that school leadership should look at as we move forward, because that is where the future is. I mean, lots of us are not really as digi-savvy as our kids are, and of course, we also have to be on board if we want to navigate those challenges and if we want to take that forward. The last, but very important, I'd want to talk about building a community. I think the schools for the future and the challenge and the opportunities for the leaders for the future would be about building a community of learners, community of colleagues, community of parents, community of stakeholders, the boards, the immediate environment that impacts that functioning of that community. I think that will be very important because it's going to be, as I said, a diverse world, very different in terms of technology, and to assimilate and to integrate all the stakeholders in what the vision of the school or the institution would be, that would be a great, great challenge. So if we could branch out in these three, at least in my view, would be what the focus of headship in the coming years would be. Thank you.
Thank you. May I now invite Naman, please? So we decided that gentlemen first. As ladies on the panel, we decided gentlemen first.
Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to share a dais with my old teacher, RSF sir. My fondest memory of him is not in a suit, it's in soccer shorts showing us how to kick a ball on the field. And he was quite the envy of the senior boys as well. Today I'd like to share my opinions about what the principal of the future should be like. That's exactly how the principals of the past have been. There's hardly any difference. Principals need to be the architects of the school vision, be the embodiment of that vision, and help translate that vision into daily action calls that your teachers will take, that your students will take, that your parents will, be anchored into the school vision with. Somebody last evening said, culture eats operations for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm sorry, Mrs. Ken, but I kind of agree with that. Yes, I also concede that structures and systems allow us to spare time for purpose building in the school, but it's the inherent culture of the school which will dictate most of the outcomes that the students will realize in their life. Another important thing I want to call out is for principals to signal the culture, signal the vision. And it takes me back to some of my experiences with principals of my school life. Mr. John Mason was the principal at Doon School when he inducted me into that school. And after joining the school, my dad went and spoke to him, how could you take a student like this in a school like that? And his answer was that he was honest and he knew where he wants to be. The two questions he asked me in that interview were, how good are you at English? In my Doon School essay, I had written mother is matter and father is fatter. So I know why my dad went up to argue against my cause. But he also asked me, why do you want to join the Doon School? And I said, I'm scared of unrealized potential. So it takes a principal to signal that to the community that a student like that belongs in a school like that. Then my experience with General Kulkarni when I was joining Mayo College General Council as a collaboration school, I was quite overwhelmed by the entire experience. I was a young entrepreneur looking to be an entrepreneur. And he said, don't worry, join us, you're one of us. Chai peete hain chalo, Stoke Club mein. And that signaled everything I wanted to know about the collaboration with Mayo. Then came Mr. Kanti Bajpai at the Doon School. I'd always seen Mr. Mason wear a cloak at assemblies, and Kanti Bajpai sir on the first day without a cloak, sleeves rolled up. That was a signal to the entire school community. This is his time now. No time for traditions that hold us back, and he's going to transform the school. And yes, he did. Next, traditions, which Mr. Bajpai broke at his pleasure. But I think sometimes traditions are euphemisms for our complacency, for a lack of resolve. Are those traditions serving the students in the school today? Are they just enabling complacency in the systems? Is there redundant reporting in your system? The last report your teachers fed you, did that have any impact on the students' outcomes beyond just having proof that you're doing your job? Finally, agency. Agency for the principals is important. If you don't agree with the school vision, don't join that school. If the school vision is something, but your promoters are compelling you to think of numbers and only numbers, tell the promoters to take a stand and change your Sisyphus from Albert Camus. And the legend says that he was cursed that a boulder will keep rolling down a hill, and he had to keep pushing it up. And he just found it in himself to find meaning in that task, and he did it till eternity, and he found meaning in that life as well. So your job as the principal, above all, is to give agency to your teachers, to your students, and to give meaning to the tasks they do every day. That was my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Naman. Miss Anisha Sani, please. Thank you.
The timekeeper, you can take a tea break. I'm setting my stopwatch with Ravi in the audience. I better do that. So when in Rome, do as the Romans do. I'll begin with Khamagani. Good morning, everybody. Sorry, good afternoon, everybody. Let me now begin with a question, with a show of hands in the audience, please. How many of us were trained to lead schools that don't exist anymore? Yes? No? Great. The world has changed, classrooms have changed, kids have changed. We are dealing with the Gen Alpha that thinks in reels, talks in emojis. Before you even explain your school policies, they say, hey, it's med, right? But leadership? I don't think we need to be future ready. We need to be futures, plural, futures ready, because we're not preparing for one predictable one. We're preparing for many possible ones, and some we've not even imagined yet. So who is the future ready principal? So let me offer 5 provocations, not job descriptions, but mind shifts, from head of school to head of listening. We used to always think leadership is all about having all the answers. But in a world of complexities, it's asking a better question. How many of you have really stopped a student and asked, what's something about your school that you would like to change? One thing you would like to change about your school, and why? And you truly did that. Leadership is all about listening louder than lead. The second, from school managers to culture shaper. We all love our school policies, strategies, KPIs, action plans, and yes, Naman, I do agree with you. Culture eats strategy for breakfast, and purpose is the main cause. Leadership is not about running a school anymore. It is about creating a culture. Ask yourself, if you move away for a month, would the culture be alive in your corridors, in your conversations, in the conflicts? Yes or no is something for us to think about. It is about creating a culture of learning, not perfection, a culture of failing, a culture of recovery, and a culture of learning from your own mistakes. It is about culture of risk-taking and not fearing. Third I'd like to talk about is from control to co-design. The world demands designers of learning and not distributors of information. I think future-ready principals need to co-design with parents, students, and teachers. I've seen when experiences are co-designed with teachers and students come together, the engagement deepens, the ownership grows, the learning sticks. Think of a policy in your school and question, is that for control or is that for a possibility? The fourth point I'd like to highlight here is from curriculum guardians to ecosystem builders. We are no longer guardians of knowledge. We are curators of connections. The IB, NIAS, CIS, the frameworks that we all work with provide us with the structure, but it is our responsibility to bring that alive to our communities. A future-ready school learns beyond its walls through tech innovators, local change makers, sustainability experts, artists, and yes, learners themselves. Think of your school not as a building, but as a living ecosystem, growing, adapting, collaborating. The last point here, from stability to agility. In a stable world, leaders focused on consistencies, but in an unpredictable world, we need adaptive expertise. We need more leaders who can be brave enough to say, all right, 2 more seconds, who can be brave enough to say, I tried, I failed, it didn't work for me, it didn't work for my school, I'm happy to try again, or I'm happy to change. So who's a future-ready principal? Not somebody who runs a school, but who reimagines what a school can be, because our students are going to step into a world that doesn't exist yet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anisha. Ms. Pratima Gupta, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Someone who curated the topic for this panel surely gave the answers away and the thought content away just by the way they worded the sentence. Who is a manager? A manager is a person who controls the part or an organization. Who is an architect? An architect is a person who designs buildings by profession. In these 2 words, control for the first part and design for the second part, lies the essence of that which we are deliberating upon. Because when I was thinking about the topic and what I would be submitting to the audience at large, as is the done thing, I did Google, what does the internet have to say about this topic? And you know what? Some horrifying statistics came my way. And these statistics are 77 to 82% of teachers experience burnout at some point of time or the other. 48% have talked about mental health issues and have sought help for it, and 50 to 58% of them say that there aren't any supportive systems or empathy or understanding available at their schools or within their systems for it. Where it comes to children, 33.3% of boys and 33.7% of girls have experienced school-related violence in their lifetime. It is both physical and sexual in the nature. And then about 62% of students have said that they have been having issues related to bullying. I have not even Googled statistics about dysfunctional families. I have not even talked about life events. I have not talked about natural catastrophes. I have not even tried to think about what war and other man-made disasters and social breakdowns are doing to the child and, of course, to the human life at large. Amidst all this chaos is the principal. These are the people who are inhabiting the world of a school and its corridors. So isn't it time, or isn't it imperative that the school principal now decides to become the architect? And the architect of what? The architect of a socially responsible, very thoughtfully curated community that assigns itself towards the protection, towards the armoring of these very individuals who are working for a lofty purpose, such as let us change the world. Sure, there is technology, and of course technology is meant as an aid, as a resource, and not as an answer to the problems created by human beings who are supposedly literate, educated, cultured, evolved, and sophisticated. So I feel that the principal of the future is the architect, is the person who actually helps promote all ideas and all higher ideologies of human evolution. He or she is the person who builds a sustaining community wherein thought domination is not the order of the day, where an individual agency is not about competition, but about delving deep into our own inner abilities and seeking their flight, wherein collaboration is not merely a group activity in the timetable, but truly means to be an activity wherein minds pool together their own thoughts, their own ideologies, their own ideas, and seek out innovative solutions to problems, where problem solving is not something which is a mere word or an epithet, which is delivered to a student because he or she must learn it as a skill. Learn it as a skill. It has to be a part of the intrinsic fabric which shapes the 21st century human being. Because, ladies and gentlemen, as architects of the human community, the principals are putting forward people who will be changing the world. Isn't it time that the change began in a more empathetic manner? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gupta. Ms. Sunita Nambiar, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure listening to everybody and their thoughts about what leadership and a principal's life looks like going forward. You need me to be louder? Okay. Is that clear enough now? Yeah, perfect. So I think one of the things that I am going to be working or trying to talk about is my own experiences of working with principals for the last now 13 years. And one question that I would always ask them is, what is the challenge that they're facing today? What really bothers them? And one question or the one answer that I would always get is, they struggle to do the things that they're really passionate and really excited about when they took on that job. And that is to spend time with students and their learning to the extent that they actually wanted to do. And I think that kind of made me start thinking about it, and I said, what exactly do we want to achieve? What's the purpose of our organization? What is the heart and soul of our organization? I think when I look at us as an organization and I say, okay, what do we want to achieve? I'll say Manav Rachna. We want to shape better human beings. That's what we stand for. So then, what does that student look like who's going to leave the walls of my school? What does the kind of knowledge, skills, traits, attributes, values that I want that person to have? The person whom I have nurtured for 15 years, I want to see something that really is going to be a person who's going to be contributing to a better world. If that is the purpose of education and an organization such as ours, all of ours, then I think we need to change the way we look at schools. I think we need to move out of a situation where we are managing people and outcomes and actually create conditions, create situations and opportunities where people and purpose thrive. I really need to be able to create an entire ecosystem that allows for that. So whether I'm looking at pedagogy, I'm looking at assessments, I'm looking at professional development or my infrastructure, they all need to align to that one purpose that I am existing for. I can't do that, of course, unless it is a very coherent thought. And by that I mean that we need to have very strong ecosystems within the same, and I agree to a certain extent, you do need to have systems and processes in place, but they are only your tools. They are only something that's going to support you in your achievement of the purpose that you set yourself up for. I think the other thing is that, there's a strong belief among principals that we are superheroes, we can do it all. I think you need to have a very strong support system. You need to have you need to have cross-functional teams. You need to have learning hubs in your school. You need to create a system where everybody, every single person in your team is working towards that one purpose. The other thing that I believe very strongly is that it cannot be happening unless there is a very reflective culture within the organization. Feedback loops are very, very important. Taking the opinion of all your stakeholders on board and working with them towards that purpose is very, very important. You need to empower your co-designers. Start building a team that works with you, walks with you, walks the talk with you. So when we look at all of this, I say move out of external control, move into internal quality assurance. That, I think, will help you achieve the purpose that you set yourself for. One question that I ask principals to definitely think about is, if you were given the full freedom to make a difference in your school, what is that one practice that you will stop doing so that you are able to achieve the purpose of the organization? That's a tough question to ask, but if you are able to get the right answer to that, everything else falls into place towards the purpose that you're working with. So knowing what you want to achieve and how you can achieve it with your team, I think, is the way forward for every principal. So create teams that share your passion, share your vision, and walk the talk with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Nambiar. So it's 12:34, and we have 15 more minutes for the Q&A. Just to wrap it up, taking from where Ms. Nambiar left, build a team. How? Allow people working with you to make mistakes. Give them the confidence that I have your back, make mistakes, and I'm there. You know, we talk of building a culture in the school, decentralizing, making sure you have the right kind of people working with you, ensuring the mental health of everybody else and your own self. But how? We've spoken about everything, but the how is missing, and we hope to get some answers from there, as we hope to get some answers from the team on the days through questions that you will ask. Are we?
So one is that some years back, a friend of mine who's heading one of the major multinational companies, he said to me that we do not, after a particular launch, after a product launch, and after doing the market survey of his success, we do not do a failure analysis. We do a success analysis. In the sense that we sit down and the entire organization sits down and lists as to what went right. And this is something which I have really, really believed in and tried to practice with my team, that after an event, let us not sit and point holes in the fabric and say that, this didn't go well, but rather let us make certain things absolutes, that these are the 5 things which we did right, and we have to definitively do these things right the next time also. So I think we make too big a deal out of failure and the whip that we take to ourselves. Why don't we focus on what went right? And I'm sure that is going to, in the long run, fix the wrongs also.
If I may, sorry. Yeah, Rashid, please.
So Ravi, I was thinking that, you're talking about the heads of the future or the principle of the future. I have a feeling that in the coming years, going forward, you'd be surprised that the heads doesn't come from the academic background through the system, but you might have something like the CEOs who would come either from an MBA background or someone who probably have a better understanding of how things work in bigger companies.
I would beg to differ. I'm sure many. Nana.
But future is we don't know. So let's.
So I'm going to just add to this a little bit. It's an interesting conversation that is happening. And I can see a lot of
Colonel Sekar, just one second.
passions being stirred.
Be there.
at
I'm
this
coming to
point
you.
of
Coming
time.
to you.
See,
30 seconds, sir.
Yeah.
very, very short. I like the topic, and I like the way no more we are school managers as a principal, we have to be an architect. Because he has given 30 seconds, I will say only one thing. One of the key things the principal should watch is what's happening in the society. Look at all the social changes because of IT, because of live-in relationship, late marriages, less children, lot of things missing, old things which is not carried over, lot of modernity has come, we are losing the old, whichever is rich with us. So principal is a social engineer. Leave alone the other jobs, you will do everything fantastic. But look at the social, emotional thing. Our children are what we all got from our grandparents, from our father, from our mother. Nothing these children are getting except money and lot of tech loads. So our job is to go back, take all the roots from there, modernize it and give it. So if we need to be the school of the future, we are the father and the mother of those children who are missing it every day.
Thank you, sir. That's exactly what I started with when we started the panel discussion. That while we are talking of future, are we not going to the past? 15, 20 years back, Pramod sir is here. 20 years back, we were actually architects. And today we are managers and we are thinking of going to become architects again.
Can I? Right. I'll come straight to the point, Rashid sir. Having MBA CEOs, etc., to my mind, has been the single most significant disaster schools have had. Our numbers game is taking us crazy. I have had issues where can I give results money on the basis of the percentage of improvement in results at 9th and 10th, as if the students have been put in by Kunti Devi talking to sun god and coming down. The pre-primary teacher doesn't matter. Before that, I have a question. Sangeeta Kane, excellent moderation. Giving 15 minutes for us is great. My question to all of you, Sunita Nambiar said one thing you would like to drop from your school when you are given the freedom. I start with you, distinguished Vellum principal. What is the one thing you would like to drop? I want each one of you to answer this question.
Celebrating only our victories and
Hold on.
bombarding the social media with our achievements.
Thank you. Colonel Sekhar, you have the grand revision this evening. You can ask all the questions to all the people, but now I'll go to Naina now.
So I don't really have a question. I just want to share my thoughts. Of course, a fantastic discussion, so it's got all our brains ticking. When we talk about becoming architects instead of managers, I really agree with what Sangeeta said, but I think as principals, we need to take a call on how much we've sort of jam-packed our calendar with event after event after event. When are we spending time with the children? When are the children sitting down? When are we sitting with the children? You talked about listening. And there's this rat race of, oh, my kids haven't gone for this and your kids went for this. And what's happening, I've seen, is kids now are addicted to that stimulation. So they're like, wait, when is the next event? When is the next event? What about just regular school? And Rashid, I would hate to disagree with you, but I really feel teachers with experience are the ones who will make good principals, because you have teenagers walking into your office. If you have not worked with teenagers all your life, you don't know what to do with them. Thank you.
Right. I think I love the fact that you raised the aspect of, teachers not finding the time to do exactly what they really love to do. That's what I started with. But I also believe that, when we're looking at leaders, and I do agree that there is so much that is there in your calendars. It's jam-packed with, different things, whether it is operational challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis or events, as you said, day after day. But I also think that as leaders, we need to be very clear where we want to go. What's the direction that we're taking this organization with, and then saying whether everything that we are doing goes towards that direction. What happens sometimes is that we get so dispersed in the way we do things that they are all working in silos. And somewhere then that common direction, that common purpose towards which we are, want to go doesn't happen. And that's what we are talking about, is as purpose architects, and I think that's where that word came out, and thank you, Ravi, for that.
Thank you.
I think it really needs that. We really need to say, what are we existing for? What do we want to achieve, and how are we going to do that? And it needs to go beyond grades, by the way. Let me tell you, I'm not talking about learning outcomes and grades. I'm really talking about this human being that you are going to kind of nurture for the probably 12, 15 years of their lives with you. How are you contributing to that life, and what is that person going to be when he leaves the walls of your school? And I think they're very important questions for all of us to ask.
Thank you. Before my Lehariya Dupattas come on the stage for the felicitation, I'll go one last point from Sangeeta.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you. We heard Pratima ma'am give some data about teachers. I would also want to ask that with 3,000 students, 6,000 parents, 270 staff members, seeping all their emotion into one person, what do we do for the emotional health of the principals to become that purpose architect?
Teach the principal, help the principal to be authentic, not to strive to become the it principal of the town, the most awarded principal of the town, the most hungry go-getter principal of the town, who's running from pillar to post, fulfilling someone else's ambition and eroding her or his own personal self-worth by comparing themselves to the so-called glossy advertorials which appear in countless magazines over social media and are seen at award functions where content and quality of work is sometimes not the key.
Pratima, may I? Exercise every day, physical. Please meditate or do yoga. please be very clear that yes, I messed up, I'm sorry. 4, decentralize, allow people to make mistake, and then spend time just de-stressing. If it means spending time with your kids and laughing around with them, so be it. If it means calling it a night at 9:45, which I do and tell my boys and my teachers, God forbid, if there is an emergency, I am available, but after 9:45, I am not available. That's it.
Adding to this, ma'am.
Otherwise, sorry, take the burden, let your health go to hell, and so be it.
Yes, switching off is important. And
I think the dupattas are on their way.
I
Thank you,
hope.
ladies and gentlemen, for making this so
Thank you so
interactive.
much. Thank you.